Hello, everyone, and welcome to North Stars Noise. I'm your host, Rob Leonard. Tonight, the final season episode of North Stars Noise. The Owen Sound Sr. North Stars wrapped up their season just over a week ago, and I'm very pleased to have with me in the studio tonight North Stars General Manager Keith Peer. Keith, thanks very much for being here.
No problem, Rob. Thanks for having me.
All right, great. All right, so let's talk a bit about, let's see, this is your first year as GM of the North Stars.
Yep.
And you had the best season you had since 2012.
Well, yeah, no, it was good to come on board and have success like that. It was nice to be in the playoffs. I've been with the junior program for 4 years and didn't get that pinnacle, missed out slightly with it, but it was nice to be in the playoffs this year and have some success.
Absolutely, and you also won as you said, you won your first, that was your first playoff series victory over Oakville, and that was a great series.
Yeah, no, it was good, and it wasn't where we wanted to finish the year, but we had hoped to get a higher seed, but to play Oakville first thing and to have success in the first round was important for the team. So it was good to get on to the next round to play Brooklyn in the semis.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of the season. You played Wallaceburg for the first few games, I think the first three.
Yep.
But in the first 7 games, you were 5 wins and 2 losses. So that's a great start to the season.
Yeah, no, we got our footwork under us early, and it gave us a bit of confidence for what we wanted to do and what we saw, what we could do. We thought there were some areas that we needed to improve, and we made some improvements later in the year with some trades, bringing in Tyler Glebe and Dan Keene. As well as adding Scott DiFrancesco. So it really helped to where we wanted to be for later on in the year.
Yeah, so was that something that you realized early on? Did you know at the start of the season that maybe you were going to be a little short on the goals? Or was that something that was more apparent after those 7 games?
Well, I think anytime you can add quality players like Dan Keene and Scott DiFrancesco, both have the ability to put the ball in the net, and I think that was important. And then we knew we had a solid goaltender in Ryan Oldreive. And we wanted something to solidify that situation in case something happened to Ryan, or if we wanted to make a change, we had another option to go to. And by adding Tyler, he really stood up near the end of the year and solidified the goaltending as well.
That's right. Ryan Oldreive was your go-to man. He played every game, I think, pretty much every game in the regular season. But as you said, if Ryan goes down, what have you got, right? So bringing Tyler in was a great move.
Yeah, and it was, I guess, not taking anything away from the other goaltender we had at the time, Josh Hagar. But Josh hadn't played in a while and was a bit inexperienced. And so we wanted that definition of an experienced duo that could be 1A, 1B. And I think we certainly found that near the end of the year.
Okay, now one thing that I noticed, and I want to thank the North Stars. This was my first year as a play-by-play announcer for the North Stars, and back at the executive meeting before the season started, I told you how excited I was about it because the North Stars are the reason I picked up a lacrosse stick all those years ago, and for me it was just an exciting time, and I want to thank everybody with the North Stars treating us so well. And, we had a great season watching us.
Oh, we want to thank, you, Glenn, and Mark, and the team at Rogers here that broadcast our games, too, all year. Bringing this show to the forefront as well has really helped increase our awareness in the community. And I think, like you said, I think the North Stars, you mentioned that it started with you and got you involved with the game. I think you look back at anybody basically involved over the age of 40, the North Stars brought us into the game too. I can remember being at the old arena watching the likes of Rick Basson and Gary Palace and those guys, and it's sort of, you're paying back what you've brought up, and it's our job doing that now.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100% on that. So again, your regular season, it became apparent after those 7 games who those top 2 teams were going to be in the league with Brooklyn and Six Nations. Definitely the first game you played against Six Nations in Owen Sound, that was really, in my estimation, that set the bar for who I thought was going to win the championship this year. But then Brooklyn comes on at the end, and they looked amazing in the last couple of weeks of the season.
Yeah, I think when we faced Brooklyn earlier in the year, they didn't have Atwood in the lineup. He had some personal issues off the floor. I don't know what they were, but he wasn't in their lineup full time, but he is a heck of a ball player. And I think when they added him, it really solidified their chance. And they're a deep team, and they're an older team. And I think that, the two teams that will play each other, Brooklyn and Six Nations, I would think that, Brooklyn finished first for a reason. And I think I would say that they're the favorite, with home floor especially. It's not an easy place to play in Brooklyn, but I think that they'll probably take the Ontarios as well.
I got to agree with you. And I would maybe put money on them to win the President's Cup as well. But let's take a look at the North Stars. I mentioned all season long about the balanced scoring that you had on the North Stars. It seemed that on any given night, there was going to be a different guy that's going to do the scoring for you. And I think we have a graphic of the final, the standings for the goals on the North Stars. If we can get a look at that. There we go. Well, this was playoffs only. Okay, so.
But even in the playoffs, if you look up and down the scoring there, like number 6, Robbie Milnes had 7 goals. Brett Clofer had 5. Wyatt Barfoot, a junior call-up, had 5 points. And then the top guys are really spread out. Travis Sabalis really moved the ball well in the playoffs. And I think Zach Thompson started to find his legs too a bit. And he was pretty even throughout the playoffs. And then, of course, Dan Keane and Scott DiFrancesco, as we talked about earlier. The two guys that we really wanted to add to solidify our goal scoring. And then you had, a couple of rookies up there too, Todd Greer and Brett Clofer as well. So it was a positive year.
Sorry, Zach Thompson had one heck of a playoff too, and it was almost like every goal he scored was almost identical. It was just a carbon copy of the first one. He had that signature move that he would use, and using the defender as a screen, and then he scored some really. I think he had a hat trick in one of the games.
Yeah, and to be honest, really, if you look at all those guys too, really the only guy with any size is Travis Sabalis. Mm-hmm. The rest of the guys are probably anywhere between 5'9" and 5'7". We're not overly big, but they were fast and skilled, and I think that's sort of the way the game of lacrosse is going, and we hope that all those guys will be back next year.
And there wasn't one North Star that finished in the top 10 scoring in the league, but a lot of those spots were taken up by Six Nations and Brooklyn. But as I was saying about the balanced scoring, now I think Travis Sabalis ended up leading the team in scoring. But it was really tight, right down the list, and they weren't far out of the top 10. So, looking at it from the standpoint that you mentioned, like a Chris Atwood, for example, you would key on a guy like that. But it's really tough to key against a team that has so many different people that can score.
Well, I think and we sort of saw that a bit in the playoffs, where teams tried to really focus on Dan. But then Dan would dish the ball off to a guy like Zach, and Zach would score. And then they'd say, all right, we got to let's control Zach Thompson a bit. And then Robbie Milnes would score. And it just sort of spread it around and made us a little more lethal. And we hope that it carries on for next year.
So your overall feelings, satisfied with this year?
You're disappointed. You're never happy to lose the way we did. But overall, I think we won a playoff series. We have a lot of young guys on the team. And I think that, playoff experience is one thing that can't be coached. It's the thing that you have to gain. And I think by winning the series against, Oakville, and then having a good series against Brooklyn, I think will pay well for our future.
Absolutely. That's going to be my next question. Looking forward to next year. I guess you take some time off, you get to relax a little bit, or are you right in it looking for maybe to make sure you can get these guys back for next year? Some of the guys you want back, recruiting, taking a look around?
We'll have our year-end, awards and banquet August 20th out at Scenic City, and that's sort of the wrap-up of this year. But you're always looking to add, what can make your team better, and then obviously there'll be guys that, that maybe are a little long in the tooth, that maybe this is it for them, and they'll decide and let us know what their plans are. And then again, it'll just be one of those things where guys start phoning and saying, listen, I'm out of junior, I want to play senior B, or I'm tired of playing major and I want to play senior B, and we hope to get those guys here.
Absolutely. And you mentioned off the air, you and I were discussing players that, Dan Keane, for example, hopefully he comes back next year. And a lot of these players are friends. They've played together over the years, and they'd like to play together again. So that's a factor as well in helping to recruit.
Well, I think the one thing that, to be honest, at this level, what really helps recruit is your locker room. And I think the one thing that we did have this year was a fantastic locker room. There was great camaraderie among the guys, and the guys that, that moved up here that weren't sure what they were getting into, like Todd Greer. Todd Greer, I know through my family, that's sort of how we got Todd, but rumor back in the line, he told people how much he loved playing in Owen Sound. And that is your biggest recruiting tool right there, is that guys will know they'll enjoy their summer when they play here.
And I'll tell you one thing about Todd Greer. As a rookie, I think he had 12 or 13 goals in the regular season, but you could not miss, every time he scored, you could not miss that smile on his face. You could see it all the way from the press box, and as he's running off the floor, and you can see, as you said, that passion, that love for the game.
And again, we wanted to bring in good guys, like good players, but I think some of the things we didn't think know what we were getting were the good character guys, and Todd and Dan and Tyler, and Scott were just good team guys and good character guys to add, and that's something that you see stats, you don't see stats for character, and we're really pleased with what we added up with.
Absolutely. All right, Keith, and I want to thank you very much for doing this tonight.
All right. Thanks,
thank
Rob.
you so much for a great season. Thanks for reminding me again about the Owen Sound Senior B North Stars, and everybody out there, watch these North Stars next year. This guy right here, he's going to take them there. All right, that's it for North Stars Noise for 2016. Hopefully, Keith, we'll see him next year?
Hopefully.
Hopefully we'll see you next year. All right, thanks for joining us, and goodbye.